Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Madison Olms, with our forecaster, David Guerrero. So David, we have our first Penn State football game this upcoming weekend. What's the weather looking like?
Well, before I answer that question, I'd say welcome aboard. I'm so excited to have you on this desk. And also, I'm extending my warmest welcome to Ben Yaya, who hosted last week, and to Gavin Sandell. He has been in the background, but we'll see more of him. He's a great talent. And to answer your question, we're going to have a pleasant day on Saturday. We're maybe a little bit on the warmer side, as temperatures will be above average, but favorable conditions for a Penn State win over West Virginia.
I love to hear those conditions, and let's hope our Nittany Lions pull out the win. We have a feature by Dennis Khrulov coming up, but first, here's your Nature in the News.
A recent study has shed light on the origins of the sun's powerful solar wind, which has long puzzled scientists. Researchers have identified tiny bursts of superheated gas that appear to fuel the solar wind. These bursts emit roughly 1/1,000,000th of the energy of the sun's largest flares, but are crucial for the understanding of solar wind's source. The bursts likely propel particles into space, contributing to the solar wind, and are believed to be powered by disruptions in the sun's magnetic field. Scientists have observed these flares in a dark region called the coronal hole and speculate that they could be widespread across the sun. With the sun currently nearing the peak of its 11-year cycle of activity, these revelations provide valuable insight into solar phenomenon and their potential impact on Earth.
Hurricane Idalia is quite literally taking the southern United States by storm. So far, we've been able to stay dry in Pennsylvania, but that's not to say that the Commonwealth hasn't been affected by hurricanes in the past. Bringing it back to 1972, Hurricane Agnes caused so much destruction to the state that the name was retired. Across the region, many areas were experiencing between 7 to 10 inches of rain, some reports even reaching 12 to 16 inches. Flooding from this storm resulted in $2.1 billion in damages. Of the 128 lives lost from this disaster, 50 of them were from Pennsylvania. Another hurricane to note just over a decade ago was Hurricane Sandy. Sandy left 1.3 million Pennsylvanians without power. The total damages in the Commonwealth were around $16 billion. Although we tend to see hurricanes hit the southern portion of the U.S., they can have just as much impact on the northeastern states.
Severe flooding has struck the central southern regions of Chile on Monday, causing widespread havoc and displacement. The heavy rains have forced thousands of residents to either evacuate or face homelessness in isolated communities. This crisis comes on the heels of late June when the region experienced some of the most substantial rainfall in 30 years, a situation worsened by the El Niño weather pattern. El Niño has led to wetter winters and springs in this part of Chile, along with rising temperatures. Forecasters are predicting more rainfall in the mountainous areas, heightening the already substantial risk of flooding and landslides. According to the Chilean Disaster Agency, over 26,000 people remain stranded without access to basic services, while nearly 34,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Additionally, 38,000 people are grappling with the power outages in the affected region. This summer season in Chile has been marked with unprecedented weather events featuring abnormally high temperatures and the most intense rainstorms in the decade.
Is this rare sight once in a blue moon? The chance of seeing a supermoon and a blue moon in the same night happens about every 10 years. This term is coined as a super blue moon. On the night of August 30th, the second full moon of the month was on full display. This happened to be the closest supermoon of 2023, being about 222,043 miles away. A supermoon is when the full moon happens at perigee, when the moon is near its closest point to the Earth in its orbit. This can also be up to 8% bigger in size and up to 16% brighter than an average full moon. Some may think the moon that they are seeing will be blue. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Not unless there's an atmospheric condition involving dust, ash, or smoke. Since this was the second full moon to occur in the same month, it is considered a blue moon. You put the two occurrences together and you have a super blue moon. If you didn't get a chance to see this rare sight, hopefully you're able to catch it next in 2037.
This Saturday will be the official start of Penn State's championship run against West Virginia, and the weather will be on our side. But before I get into that, Friday will have a great start to the weekend. We'll see high pressure parked right above the Commonwealth, mostly sunny conditions throughout, maybe a little bit of haze in the New York and the Virginia area, but temperatures will be around seasonable. Then these conditions will persist into Saturday, into game day, mostly sunny throughout the day. We might see a swath of clouds in the morning, but then this will dissipate. We'll also see temperatures go to the warmer side, as we will see potentially 80-degree weather around 3 to 4 p.m., but around game day, this should lower tremendously around 73 degrees. Overall, a great way to start off the Penn State season. Then for Sunday, we'll start to take a little bit a turn into the more uncomfortable side. High temperatures way above average will dominate this day. We'll see temperatures right around 85 degrees. Cloud cover will increase for the New York area, and they'll see also the potential for spotty showers. But for Penn State, we will not see precipitation, but high temperatures will be the name of the game. Then for this Friday, to recap, Friday will be the official start of meteorological fall. And what better way to start off meteorological fall with fall-like conditions at 74 degrees. Then for Friday night, temperatures will be at 60 degrees, mostly clear, so you can have a great view of the moon. Then for the big game, like I said, patches of clouds in the morning, then this will dissipate. Temperatures at kickoff will be 73 degrees. Then at night, when it's officially dark, we can finally see Beaver Stadium mostly white. I can't wait for this game. Temperatures will be at 68 degrees. Then for Sunday, we're going to take a turn to the more uncomfortable side. Things will start to heat up at 85 degrees. And if you're not a fan of this trend of heating temperatures will continue on until next week. More on that in the extended forecast later in the show. But first, Dennis Khrulov will have a feature on fall foliage.
With temperatures decreasing, the amount of daylight dwindling, and the start of autumn just a few weeks away, it won't be much longer until the vibrant green trees turn into a spectacular fall foliage show.
The exact timing of when the leaves begin to change colors in the fall is highly determined by the date on the calendar, as well as environmental influences such as weather conditions, plant food supplies, and the amount of daylight. So the main trigger that brings the changing of the colors is the decreasing daylight. Photosynthesis, the product of the sugars within the leaves, is highly dependent on the amount of light. Through this, there is a significant reduction of chlorophylls, and once these are lost, the true pigments of the leaves are shown. However, the extent and the vibrancy of the colors is directly related to the meteorological conditions. Extended periods of sunny, warm days, followed by cool yet not freezing nights, displays the best foliage colors. This is due to the abundance of sugar that is developed during the day within the leaves, and that it's trapped in the narrowing leaf veins during the cool overnight hours. The high amounts of sugar and light that is formed in the leaves leads to the formation of vivid anthocyanin pigments, in which you see the red, purple, and crimson colors. For the golden oranges and vibrant yellows, these are produced by carotenoid pigments, which are ever present during the entire leaf's lifespan. Another environmental factor that plays an active role is the amount of precipitation and soil moisture. The seeds of a great foliage season are planted in the late spring and summer months, where constant rain systems and thunderstorms help to adequately moisten the soils in the local region. Any extended hot and dry patterns may delay or hinder the amount of color, especially during the mid to late summer months. If you love viewing the foliage from your yard for extended periods of time, you would hope the pattern stays calm during and leading up during the peak of the season. Any intense fall storm systems that bring heavy rains, high winds, and even potential snow will lead to very high leaf drop rates, which will significantly shorten your season. Additionally, any overnight hard freezes, especially when temperatures drop below 20 degrees, will significantly drop leaves. As you may have noticed, the majority of the colors in the fall come from deciduous trees. However, there are also larger areas of coniferous forests, such as your local typical pine trees. So why do they hold their green colors during the cold winter months? At first, Coniferous trees lack the same chemical compounds as leaves that allow for color changing processes. Additionally, during the colder season months, the conifers develop a waxy coating on their needles, which acts as a barrier from the colder temperatures. The stark contrast during peak foliage season between the dark green conifers with golden colors deciduous of trees makes for great viewing and photography opportunities. So, with millions of leaves falling across the world every year, what happens to the leaves once they remain on the ground? As a part of the regular life cycle, the leaves decompose and restock the area's soils with nutrients and help protect the ground from erosion by acting as a rainfall barrier, which makes the autumn season a vital component in a forest biome. The majority of our estate in Pennsylvania, we will see peak colors by the month of October, but what time of the month really depends on where you're located. The northern areas in higher elevations will peak earlier versus the southeastern areas, which may not peak until late October and or early November. However, the exact weeks will be determined by the weather conditions over the next several weeks. If you're looking to get out and enjoy some great viewing areas in the state, I highly recommend the Allegheny National Forest, Memorial Lake State Park, Ohiopyle State Park, Pymatuming State Park, and the Loyal's Lock State Forest. Or you can quite literally go to any state park and have great viewing conditions. So it is now time to get enthusiastic, as one of the best Pennsylvania seasons is just a short corner away.
As we left off in the short-range forecast, we saw temperatures near 85 degrees on Sunday, and unfortunately, this will be the name of the game for next week. But before I get into that, let's recap our weather. We'll see temperatures at 74 degrees, and what better way to start meteorological fall with seasonable conditions. Then for Saturday, we are Penn State. It's going to be a great day. Pleasant conditions to get the win over West Virginia. But then Sunday will take a turn to the more uncomfortable side as we'll start to heat up, and this will be the case for the next week. Monday, temperatures will increase to 87 degrees as we'll have Labor Day. And then this will increase until Wednesday as we'll see temperatures near 90 degrees. And for reference, this will be the first 90 degree day we'll see this summer. Thankfully, temperatures will start to subside as they'll cap off on around 80 degrees on Friday. And then my next point is about how humid it will be as the dew points will near 70 degrees. It will start to feel like Texas and Madison. This goes to my point. We started meteorological fall. However, it feels more like the dog days of summer.
No doubt. Well, it sounds like I'll be needing to crank up my AC next week. For this week's Weather Whiz Quiz, we'll be talking about Hurricane Idalia. What category was Hurricane Idalia at landfall? A, Category 1, B, Category 2, C, Category 3, or D, Category 4. If you chose C, Category 3, you would be correct.
Well, this hurricane was an absolutely powerful storm, and we're just sending our best wishes to the state of Florida and their upcoming recovery efforts.
Absolutely. We're hoping for the best recovery on their end. That is all we have for you today. Join us next week for another episode of Whether or Not.